Hello, Libra, and welcome to Pluto in a Strange Land. For your sign and rising sign, I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, reporting in from the Broadway Lights Diner in Kingston, New York, on the 14th of March, 2023. It's been a strange day so far, and I opened up the chart for the moment we're in right now and realized, we are just, at least where I'm sitting, hours ahead of the exact final square of Mars and Neptune. So that has, to me, it feels a bit draining and like, okay, what am I doing all this for? But that's typical of kind of Mars burning and chewing on the idealistic qualities of Neptune. And there's a lot else going on. The moon is about to swing into the aspect pattern, and I have a reading for you about that will cover that, and mostly I'll be centering around the presence of Pluto in Aquarius, which is your fifth place. The fifth sign from Libra is Aquarius, and I would say that whatever form of a chart you use for your natal chart, whatever form of houses that you are interested in, the presence of elements is very important. And I think in many ways I wouldn't say it settles this whole ridiculous house system debate, but it's important to remember that the expressive qualities that I'm about to describe about this Pluto transit into the fifth and through the fifth get their power and their expressiveness from the fact that you are born under an air sign, whether it's your sun or your rising, and Pluto is about to enter an air sign, that being Aquarius. And I think that in all the mathematics of astrology and the intellectual and psychological machinations, we can tend to forget something so basic as the elements involved. And I say this all as a preface to my theory that Pluto going into the fifth house is about as good as it gets in terms of a Pluto transit, and that Pluto leaving your fourth house, Capricorn, is about as good as transits get for ending, because Pluto through the fourth house has obviously been very difficult, and I think challenged all of your ideas and beliefs about what it means to be safe and secure, and what it means to, be in possession of yourself and to have any semblance of your internal being and your privacy. Pluto has been working this angle of your chart, Capricorn, the fourth place, which is about the private region of your life. It's about your interior space, the four walls that surround you, whether you feel safe on the planet, for about 15 years. And this has not been an easy transit. The reason it hasn't been easy is because Libra, by its inherent nature, it's a good time to go to the chart. And we see something about the inherent nature of the signs in the solar chart. And the solar chart would be this, but take all the planets out. And it's just where the signs overlap the houses. And every sign solar chart advances the wheel 1/12. And so in the case of Libra, we get Libra aligning with the first place. And then we move around and count to the fourth place, and that's Capricorn. And so the properties of Capricorn for Libra align with the properties of the fourth place. And those already have affinities, for example, family, and connecting you to your roots, connecting you to the estate, primarily your father's estate. But when you've got Capricorn and Cancer lining up with the fourth and the 10th, you really want to check and make sure that you have done the thought process on what represents the mother's family and what represents the father's family, So I'll, to the extent that I discuss these things, I'll be doing them. I'll be considering both. But to have Pluto moving through your fourth house now for a decade and a half, right? That's Pluto transits can seem permanent in a sense, given the speed at which time is moving now, and the fact that we're living in dog years on the internet, right? We're living like 5 to 7 years per year. It can seem like a month goes by in a week. 15 years is quite a long time and verges on a permanent change, but we're seeing really is not permanent because because Pluto is now about to begin the process of moving on in about a week from now. Incredibly, the time has arrived. So the gist, though, of Pluto through the fourth is a challenge to your security base. It's almost as if you felt undermined in some way, and where all the dependable structures that you've relied on to hold up the walls and the ceiling of your home, and I mean by home, I mean that spiritually as well as physically, and I mean it psychologically as much as anything else, because the fourth applies to all of those different things, all of the things that constitute a sense of whether we feel safe and whether we belong on the planet, have by one measure been undermined over and over again by Pluto moving through the fourth house and kind of chopping up Capricorn and leaving a kind of a pile of rubble in its wake. And we're, now with Pluto anaretic, with the last degree, we're starting to see some of the same bank failures on that scale that were with us when Pluto first entered Capricorn. So that's a good example of what this Pluto and Capricorn transit has been about. The whole transit begins with the banks collapsing and bailouts of the banks and all of this, and then all those years have gone on, and we've just ongoing live with this sense that the most dependable institutions of society, or at least what we thought were the most dependable institutions of society, were not. And so this has led you to take a spiritual approach to matters of security, and also in terms of just your personal choices and actions, to have to do everything in your power to make sure that you're in contact with the fact that ultimately your safety, security, and sense of belonging flow through you much more than they flow through your circumstances. So with Capricorn and the fourth, we count on circumstances quite a bit, but Pluto's been working this territory, and so we have learned over and over again that there's not so much that we can really count upon. And what is about to happen is that Pluto is going to enter a much more dynamic area of your chart, something that is going to be much more harmonized with you because of that 120-degree trine, the air-to-air alignment of Pluto with Aquarius, which is going to make a trine to your sun and a trine to your ascendant, depending on which, maybe even both. And this is why Pluto going into Aquarius represents a creative opening for you, and I think will be one of the more for Libra will experience Pluto in Aquarius as one of the more exciting sides of its potential, because it is encouraging you to be really bold about what you express, and in a way it is assuring that you do so. So I don't know what your relationship to your creativity is, whether you consider yourself an artist in some form. Many people do, and with the freedom afforded to us by all of this technology, many people are much more frequently producing all of their own materials in some way. And so even if you don't consider yourself an artist, the fifth house represents all forms of expression, but their personal expression. But there are two caveats and one of which involves having Pluto moving into Aquarius. So the part that I want to start with here is the caution about Aquarius on the fifth house. Now, Aquarius is often perceived or described in old books as a sign associated with individuality and people doing things that they that others wouldn't do. It's people stand out. So Aquarians are the Aquarius is the official sign of weirdos, basically, right? And this is a compliment to Aquarians. But there's a little thing with Aquarius where it also very strongly represents the other side of that, which is conformity and a kind of a either rule by majority or rule by false consensus. And what this can do is lead people to take a very risk-averse and cautious concept of what constitutes creativity and originality, which is really set up on the metric of what they don't want to offend others.